me think. Hmm.
Let's go.
Wow.
Okay, we are starting our uh, October 3rd, 2024, Two Sisters and a Brother, the relationship podcast with Cheryl, Andrea, and Nate. So let's do our check-in. Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
How was your week?
Good.
Good. What did you do this week, Andrea?
Nothing.
I can't imagine that that was the case. I think you're lying. And that is not a way to start a podcast.
This week, but
I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm asking you.
I
I want to know.
don't want you to know.
Yeah. And you're another person. You're like the 892nd person I met this week with baby hair, and they're over 60.
You see that?
Yeah, I do.
You see that?
That's
Oh, I
right.
see it.
Good
You
grief.
see that? You better look at it. Where's
Oh,
that?
I'm looking. I'm looking.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
Yeah.
Back it up. Back it up.
Yeah.
So you're doing okay, Andre.
Yes, and I'm a baby at heart. So
Okay. And in your head. Yeah.
exactly.
Stop talking
All your
about
body,
people's baby hair, Dr.
all
Williams.
all your body parts are
No,
babies.
no, how do you don't know all about all her body parts, Dr.
Oh,
Williams?
you you don't
Don't do it to yourself.
look who's smiling.
No, you're crazy. Look who's smiling.
It's your two sisters, a brother, and something. Okay. Cheryl Lynn, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dr. Williams. Thank you so much for asking. I've had a good week, been busy this week, and trying to make a difference in someone else's life
Yeah.
besides my own.
Yeah, and you are. And you are. So
We had an
Andrea,
amazing time. Huh?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said on. We were
So
talking.
we went to the gala this week, and it was really good. Child Promise.
Okay.
Yes.
Do tell.
Well, Child Promise is it's very important for just some of the work that you're doing out here in the community. It's it's not just stopping at the younger years or the teenagers. Is going and taking them into college experiences. Excuse me.
Sorry,
Pay
that was Taj.
attention. Yeah.
Taj, my son, decided he wanted to join the show.
Oh, they come in.
Yeah, he's been excused. So I'm scared, Andre.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe you could tell us a little bit more about Child Promise, but I really do admire the work that you're doing when it comes to giving back. You're not just stopping at these years, you're going way beyond that, and you're giving people the opportunity to attend college. And it's a definite struggle to go to college and with all the life challenges that a lot of people face, whether you're in a group home or with your own family. And I think about my own challenges just trying to go through college with a young daughter, and it was very tough. And I stopped and I went back and I, dropped out a little bit and went back, and I just kept doing that for a while. And it would have been great to really have a mentor that says, no, just stay in there. So I would definitely love to do some of that work as well, just to be that person that some of those students can talk to. And I can tell them a lot of experience about, leaving and going back. But, I admire you for that. So I appreciate what you're doing, for the community and for, young people trying to get ahead. So thank you.
I agree with you, Andrea. Excellent work, Dr. Williams.
And Andrea, as you said, just to give a little background, Child Promise is a rebranded organization that was formerly known as Baptist Children's Services of Philadelphia. And after 135 years, they closed their residential programs and decided, hey, we needed to figure out how do we continue the legacy. So over the last 10 years, this year is year 145 for them. So over the last 10 years, they've converted to a scholarship fund that supports foster children and other unparented or people that were parented by someone other than their natural parents to support those kids going on for higher education. So there are about this year, there's 38 individuals that we're supporting at 2 institutions,
Wow.
30 at Kutztown University and 8 at Arcadia University. And the support, as Andre said, is a mentor. There are some incentives. There's also some help with room and board during the spring break and summertime so that they don't have to leave the campus, because for a lot of young people who are leaving the foster care system, often housing is an issue. And they don't have really a place to go on breaks, and that's why they often don't consider college because of that. So we promise and commit to support them if they need it for the 4, 5, or 6 years with some housing assistance, so they never have to leave the campus. And that was really helpful during COVID, and was that those students, again, did not have to leave campus, even though a lot of the campus was closed down. So it was a good support. So we had a celebration the other day, as we do each year, and Andrea and Cheryl were kind enough to travel far to join in, and I think it was a good evening.
Yeah, amazing
It
work.
was.
Amazing work.
Yep.
I was so proud of those young people, man. It
Yeah,
felt really good to see that.
yeah. And a bus of them came. The larger group came by a bus an hour to get there, and the staff told me when they got there that those students were so nervous. They were like, oh my God, how do we, how is this going to go? But once they got there, as you can see, they were fine. They had a little gospel music, and so I think they were, saved by the Lord.
That part was really nice. The
Good
gospel
food.
choir did very well.
Yes,
Tote bag. They got a
Yeah.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, they did. And I meant to highlight Pastor Kwan wrote a book a couple of years ago. I would nice to have them autograph it, or have him autograph it for him. But that was in the bag along with some other stuff. So
Yeah,
we did.
yeah.
And we did send some flowers to Pastor Kwan, his first lady, his executive assistant, and then to the choir for their. They did a really, really good job.
Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
excellent work. Hats
Yeah.
off to you, Dr. Williams. Keep pushing
Okay.
on.
Thank you. So what I was thinking about, and I think I think you guys had a topic. What was that again that you guys brought up as a?
How to deal with conflicts in a relationship.
Sure. And I think this ties into what I wanted to bring up. I was watching Love is Blind, season 7 last night, and they tease you. They give you like the first 6 episodes, and then the next 6 come out next week. So I think first 7. So I watched episode 7. What I do is I watch episode 1 and I watch whatever the last one is and just cut to the chase to see what happened. And what was just interesting in watching how, in episodes 1, 2, and 3, people are, lovey-dovey, everything is wonderful. I love you with 1,000%. And then we're only up to episode 7, and I think it's either 12 or 14 episodes in this series. And this one couple that were just madly in love, they're over already. And the way it looks like is that you're not gonna see them very much, because one evening she just didn't want to talk, and she was trying to figure out like what she wanted to talk about, and apparently he said some stuff, but it looks like it's not on camera. But they just showed them having the conversation, and she was like, "Hey, let's just move on from here." And he's like, I don't think so. But in the earlier episodes, I love you 1,000%. We're going to be together forever. But it's not that way. And my question is also, how do you deal with the conflict, because that was a conflict apparently. But is there some lessons that we've learned about how can you? I know it's hard to forecast, but I think there's some wisdom that we have that I don't think we're exercising to be able to see some of these things on the early part of a relationship. Maybe what we should have seen in that case was they gave too much too soon. Like, how do you, wildly profess that you're my only one, and I love you 1,000%. And this lady said, I think it was with this guy, he will never cheat on me. He will never. This was like 24 hours after they first set eyes on each other, and they were sitting around talking, And so again, I just was, blown away, watching that. Poor, my wife Tade, when it comes to those scenes, it's like I'm watching his stuff at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm elbowing her, wake up, you need to watch this here, and she's like, can we, can we just, this is really important stuff. But again, I was just very, very shocked because again, the way they presented themselves, it was a drastic change. And again, I just wonder, for all of us, if someone asked us, is there something you can do to be able to tell that
To
it has that it has longevity or it has some stamina? Um, is there, because again, I think they thought they had it, but it looks like it.
Did you know that when you got married? Like, you know what? I'm married now and this is gonna work. This person, like, do you see
Yeah,
Tade ever leaving?
I realized
Because I would advise her to leave.
I didn't feel that in my first I didn't feel that in my first marriage. I really don't know what I felt about longevity, but I know, very clearly that this one will be until death do us part. One of us will go before the
Right.
other.
So my question is, how do you know that? Like, what is in your spirit to make you feel like this is true?
I think it's evidence based, in the sense that I understand how we deal with conflict. And I remember having a conversation, and it was a pretty tough conversation. And Tade, my wife, got emotional and she cried. And that was a tough thing for me to witness. And I made that commitment that no matter what the problem is that we ever have, it's never going to get into an issue of tears and emotion. So that being that concern for me, I'm the kind of person like I want you to cry. I really want to, provoke.
We know.
But I
We
realize,
know, we
okay,
know.
all
You don't
right,
have to
Well,
tell
okay,
us. We
damn.
experienced that. Yes, exactly. You want blood coming from the eyeballs. We already know, but go ahead.
yes,
Uh,
thank you.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I realized that I didn't want that in this and that level of concern. And then really more importantly, it's Tade and what she brings, to the relationship and to the family. It's what you want. She puts everybody ahead of herself. And that's what you really want. So again, it's evidence to me. I can show you what it looks like. I can, so I don't have to, like, it's fantasy. I can give you real circumstances. So that to me was how I know it's different, is that there's facts, there are dates and times and situations. And so, but again, I guess the question someone could ask is, well, how did you know that on day one? How did you, well, and really, I think the answer I can tell you is I know I needed her and she knew she needed me. Uh,
Hallelujah, Jesus.
yeah. So I think that,
I definitely believe that. I think I really, really believe that. Like, you have to start a relationship, starting out saying, I need this person. Right. And I think once you have that, but a lot of times, and you speak to a lot of people, like I've talked to men and they've said now when we'll have candid conversations about relationships and they'll say, well, I'm really looking for anybody right now. I don't really need a woman. So once you
Mhm.
start off with that mindset that I really don't need a woman, then once you get in a relationship with a woman, there's really no need for her. I mean,
Right,
I'll take it or I won't take it. If we
right.
work out, we work. If we don't, we don't. So once you start off with that mindset, I think it's bound to fail. Because whenever conflict happens, I don't have to deal with this because I really don't need you. But if I'm
Mm,
having a conflict with somebody and, we're going back and forth, but I know I need this person ultimately in my life, I'm going to do what I have to do to keep this relationship going.
right,
I
right.
And I
think a
think that's what
person
the
can
difference.
I think a person can get to I don't need to because of something that happened prior to when they decided that they don't need that woman or that man in their lives. Something that they've experienced and got through, and then have decided that they will not tolerate certain things at all. And then they come to the conclusion that they don't need anyone because they made it through something that they thought they needed and they made it through. So
But
now
Cheryl, I think what's important for a person to understand is it's not that you don't need anyone. You don't need that.
that's what I mean. That person, not anyone, but that
Right.
particular person.
but I think
an experience with one particular person that happens that you make it through it all. Your future relationship and something
Right.
comes up, you may feel, I don't need this person.
Right.
I got through that and
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that again. So I'll shut it down right away.
Mhm. But I think we recognize that's a mistake, right? Because that was just one person, and you
Or is
can't.
it a situation?
what
Like,
is-
is Cheryl saying that a situation happens, and so
Yeah.
then you say, I don't need this person. So it's sort of like you need Tade and she needs you, but then something happens where you disagree and then you no longer need her. You
No.
should still need her even after the situation occurs, right? But if a person leaves after the situation happens, you really didn't need me because all the things that you needed are still there. So is it about your need? Is that more important, or is it about what happened in the conflict? So is the conflict more stronger than your need?
Well, I think the conflict often, gets you to question: do you really need the person? But
I agree, Dr.
but
Williams.
but I think that,
Agree with me?
huh? Do I agree with you? No, I don't know what you said, but whatever you said, I would.
Well, you don't agree with me?
I said I
Huh?
agree with Dr. Williams.
Oh, exactly. Oh, you told the show. Yeah.
Yeah, she said I agree with Dr. Williams. So I said, you don't agree
'cause
with me?
it was that one piece he just said. It's just that one piece he just said. What did you just say, Dr. Williams?
I don't
You
know.
don't
You guys.
remember. See,
Oh my God.
that's how you know I'm texting him this stuff to say.
Oh,
I'm sending him this stuff on my phone
Oh,
right now. It says
okay.
answer the question like this. And
let me
so you
show
see,
you
you
my
can't
phone.
repeat it.
Let me show you my phone. My phone is black, so I don't know what she's
So you see,
talking
you
about.
can't even repeat it.
Well, I think it's the situation. I think we have to understand that those are going to happen.
Mhm.
I think we should, be mindful and talk about, like, what are the things that will make you get upset? What are things that, we have certain buttons that are pushed, but I think we should be able to talk about that. I think we talked about it before, like, how could you, what are the things that are important? Andrea said, don't mess with my family. I think you said, the same thing. I think my thing was, don't squash your future, and don't be pessimistic about your capacity. But I think we should just, there are certain things, but the truth be known, there are some people, the list is too long. Don't touch my clothes. You can't borrow my car.
Triggers.
I want the laundry should only be done before 9 p.m. And so there's so many different ways to run into,
Conflict.
So I think if we can front load that conversation, but I think a lot of us want to be so happy so quickly, and I think you have to allow yourself to get happy over time.
Yes,
you
because
find
that
yourself-
honeymoon period will
Yeah.
trick you sometimes.
Yeah, because you want to just jump right in, and then you're
Right.
jumping and you're blindly, and that's not real. We can't eat dinner and go on dates every day. We have to just think about what it's going to be like when we're just sitting around, and but we
The
don't,
first thing.
we don't practice that. We practice all the fun stuff, and then we stop doing the fun stuff, and then we like look at each other and like, you're not fun anymore. Yeah, because
We're
we
not
didn't
doing
just
anything.
right because we were dating and everything was an activity, and now when we're just sitting around and it's boredom, we're not prepared to deal with that because we didn't rehearse that. We rehearsed what it's like to keep going out.
Right.
Well, that's not going to happen once you start a family, you have kids, you have other responsibilities. Because often what we do is we clear our schedule, so it's just to start dating, and it's just that's how I know when Andrea is up to something, is because we don't hear from her. So I know she's exactly.
Why you be lying on me, Dr. Williams, all on my business like that up on here? Here you go.
I
Nothing to do with
know.
dating. That just means I'm booked and busy
Yeah,
doing my
that's
thing.
right. Yeah,
I'm in
exactly.
Pennsylvania. I may be at the
I'm in
nasty
Pennsylvania.
Waffle Houses you've
I'm in
seen. I may be at
Pennsylvania.
Tommy's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
You don't know where I'm at.
those are dating places. Exactly.
Those are not dating places. Those are
She
not
doesn't
dating
date when
places.
she comes to Pennsylvania.
Huh?
He just
Date anyone when she comes to Pennsylvania. It's strictly business.
Okay. And she comes to Pennsylvania once a month. But I want to talk about the
No,
other
that's
29.
not true.
That's not true. That's not true.
Andrea, you definitely clear your schedule and pay attention to what's going. You don't believe in the word "and." It's or. It's either we're talking
Not true.
or Okay, well, I can tell you my experience. I think
You
whatever
have the
you were
wrong
going
experience.
through, whatever you were going through, I think died down a little bit because you're now, at least you're talking a little bit more than you were a couple of weeks ago. But
That's not true.
you know
You
what?
don't know. You don't
I'm,
know.
I'm
You
gonna
didn't
talk.
answer your phone, Dr. Williams.
I know
You
that's
don't.
okay.
You never
I'm gonna.
answer your phone. You never answer your phone.
Oh, now you're blaming me.
No,
Yeah.
not blaming you. Mm-mm.
I
We're
call
just, we're
you.
just, we're just pointing out
I
some things
I
about you.
normally call
Right.
you at 7 o'clock in the morning, and before you answered. Now, not so much. So there
Oh,
must be someone
oh,
blocking.
that,
You know what? Blocking. I'll just say someone's blocking the phone. How about
but
that?
no, you can't just draw that conclusion because your call didn't get answered a couple of times at 7 a.m. That
It's
someone
not a couple
is
of times. It's like 21 days straight. What are you talking about?
uh,
A couple of times.
uh, come on. She's not going to ignore your calls for 21 days, maybe 2 days
You know
straight.
what, Cheryl? I'll send you my
Two
call log.
days.
You can see for yourself.
2 days. She'll
Believe him.
ignore your call.
Don't
No,
believe him. Don't
21.
believe him.
no. That's
No.
how I know she can't do Ann. She can't do her brothers and her sisters plus
Plus-
Bob.
Listen to this propaganda tonight.
But
propaganda.
again, Andre, you said you want to talk about conflict and how do you deal with
Yeah,
that?
this
I
is a
think
conflict right now.
Mhm. It's
it's
a
not a
relationship.
conflict. Apparently, you made your decision. We just have to learn to accept it.
Mhm.
No conflict here. Andre's doing Andre, so we just have to let Dree be Dree.
I believe that if you have conflict in a relationship, do not let it linger. Like
Yes.
allow things to happen over and over and over again.
But what do you think about not going to bed in a heated state? Like every night,
I
whatever
think
happens.
I think you shouldn't. I agree with that. I think you
Only
should
thing.
go in a heated state, especially with your husband or your intimate partner. I think you should really clear that up before you go to bed. And I also believe that you should not allow too much conflict to enter relationship, whatever it is, and never address it. Don't
let's say-
address it.
So you said, let's say you find out the person, maybe they're flirting with someone, not that they've actually done anything.
Mhm.
So you're saying that you're saying that
I'm saying check yourself, Negro.
no, I'm saying you resolve that before you go to bed.
Can you touch them?
Yes, if it's something
Can
that's
you touch
bothering
the
me, I think
person?
I should resolve it. I think I should say like
Did
observe a
you,
little.
like, did you-
I've observed you playing yourself, and
What? What?
oh, shit, now he's alert.
You
I've
you
observed,
observed
I
What?
observed you playing yourself, and I need you to take a look at what I'm talking about, please, and check it yourself.
Oh, you're talking to somebody else. I thought you were talking. And I thought you said you observed. I thought you said to me you have observed me playing with myself. I'm like,
He's
this
like,
is not that
what?
kind of show.
What?
Exactly. I was like, what did she say?
Where's-
Camera.
where's
I was-
Let me know
I
when
was-
to come back.
I had to block my camera. Exactly.
Let me know when this is PG.
I've
this
never
is-
observed Dr.
This is
Williams
all the way wrong.
playing himself. I'm
Okay.
speaking if it was a partner of mine
Okay. All right.
and they were
Okay.
playing themselves, I would
Oh,
bring
okay.
it to their attention, let them know that I've observed it. And despite my low vision,
Okay.
I observed this and I need you to pull it together.
But you think you're going to resolve that? That's going to be resolved before the night's out.
I don't know if it's going to be resolved
What
before
did
the
she
lights out.
witness? I'm
Huh?
trying to. What did you witness?
With a little flirting.
Flirting, a little flirting. Mhm.
And it's
So-
like some of these issues, can you resolve it before the night's
I
out,
don't know
or
if
do
you
you
can
need a
resolve
couple
it
of
before
days?
the night's out, but you could mention it so a person could at least process it overnight or something, and we could get back to it the next day. But just to go to bed super angry at each other and all that mad, and you all the way on the other end, and the person is all the way on the other end, that's.
Let me ask you a question. I think that brings up. Do you think we're greedy when it comes to relationships?
I just want to get what I
I mean, it
give.
depends on- yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's it.
if we're going to eat, I think that it should definitely be.
No, we're not doing this again. We're not going here again about the food. I'm just saying, are we greedy in the sense that we want this person plus another person plus another person? Are we too greedy for love? Are we too greedy for intimacy? I mean, we just can't realize whatever one.
I guess greed comes along if you're not receiving any type of intimacy. Maybe you start
But
getting thirsty.
some people will tell you they're receiving it and they still want to go
They can do
beyond
it
it.
as much as they want to do it. That's fine. If both parties are down with it.
No. One party says we're not spending all day doing this.
Not going good. Oh my gosh. I don't know. This is something that I don't know.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Tree.
I don't want to go. I just want to do like this.
I
I'm,
wish you-
I'm sorry.
Are you greedy? Are we greedy for intimacy? Are we
Yeah.
You take
greedy
my
for
name down, though. You're not putting
Are we
take my
greedy
name down.
for intimacy? No, he's not taking your name down. You are part of this podcast. But that's a good question. Are you greedy for intimacy? Oh,
But
or
I think, when people step out, I think sometimes, and a lot of times they'll step out to because the 10 or 15 or 20% of the relationship they don't like, but they give up the 80% to try to get the 20%. I think that's terrible math. Now you have
It's
now-
how
now-
important the
50-50.
20%. How
Huh?
important is the 20% to you, right? You can have how about if you have a really good woman at home, very supportive, very loving, check all the boxes, but there's no intimacy.
Mm.
And she said to you, I am no longer going to be intimate with you. I'm not interested in it. I'm reached that point. I don't want to do it. So do you stay with the 80 or is that 20%?
I think part of what we have to do is enlarge the definition of intimacy. I think the reality is there's so
okay.
and
Ain't
large
nobody
it.
want to hold hands.
Okay.
Ain't nobody want to cuddle.
Yeah,
So
doing
I'm not
it,
with-
doing it, like doing it. That's
Yeah, exactly. So don't he wants to fluff the word
intimacy.
intimacy. Okay?
Yeah,
Nobody want to sit in bed,
doing
read a
it.
book together,
Yeah.
and take off their
Wait.
socks and rub their toes. Like we're not
No.
talking about that.
We
Okay?
talk about that
why not?
because
not what
we're past that. We want to
Yeah,
get to
especially,
the grit of it.
8 kids later.
Right. I think that
Yeah.
after 8 kids, exactly. I think
Yeah,
let's just
you
rough
ain't.
feet.
Yeah,
Let's
you
just-
ain't. You ain't.
You
with
ain't
no
do a lot
book.
of
you know
book
what?
reading and
Yeah,
toes.
exactly.
We'll Vaseline our toes and just
No,
let's
that's not what was happening at your house.
let's baby oil our toes and just go
Yeah,
butt walk.
exactly.
Yeah, sure. Sip out of pool. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
And
Listen,
may have
But
taken
seriously, I
place,
think we
but it
need to
wasn't
enlarge
very
the
often.
definition of intimacy. I think we look at it in a very concrete way, and maybe that's maybe that's why the person is not interested anymore because there's no variety. There's nothing different.
And
It's
so
just
Michael says he wants intimacy.
who's Michael?
I'm just giving
Oh, okay.
an example.
That Michael came on.
So he wants intimacy and not the way, the other forms of intimacy. He wants intimacy through penetration.
Come on, look.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. We're gonna be back. We've never had a commercial, but we're gonna take one tonight. What the hell? Where are we going here?
I don't know.
That's my point, Andrea and Cheryl.
intimacy.
We have to understand just because that's what the person. Come on, can we come on back? Let's circle on back. Just because that's what the person wants doesn't mean they're right.
But that's what he wants. If that's
So
what he
what?
wants, so don't give him what he wants.
Let's enlarge the definition of what the
He
person
wants
needs.
to enlarge. But you won't let him because you got a book on the. You got a book for the bed.
Right.
Okay.
No.
Anybody doing
Seriously.
Mhm.
Intimate. I think again, you're being very concrete in saying that the
Okay.
intimacy.
All right.
is one thing.
We are well aware that there's all forms of intimacy,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Williams.
Thank you,
We are
Cheryl.
well aware of it, from the lowest point of it all the way to
Right.
the highest and the hottest point of it. We are well aware of that.
Okay.
But we speak for ourselves. We're on the smaller parts leading to the bigger parts. And that's that.
But do we spend enough time on the smaller parts? I want to champion the
like-
smaller parts.
Like smaller parts for the first 3 months, smaller parts for the first
I'm
3 months.
speaking up for the smaller parts.
But for the first 90 days, the 90-day smaller parts, but those smaller parts must have enlarged after the
It must have grown, you're saying.
must have grown after the 90-day probationary period.
This with my high blood pressure.
Exactly. Take 2 pills tonight.
Mm.
Seriously, I think if that's sometimes let's say there's a medical issue.
Mm,
The person can't,
Yeah.
but again, there's other forms of intimacy than just that act.
What do you
Yeah.
so how about if he says there's no medical issue,
Okay.
there's no intimacy, and she doesn't want to share intimacy with me? What advice would you give him?
I would talk to someone who can really help them look at the full span and spectrum of intimacy to make sure that they are considering all different aspects, that they really, because there's just so much variety that's available there.
Right. And they did that, and now the only variety available is what he's looking for.
And the question is he informed?
mm.
Is he aware, or is he just going with the traditional way, which is
Right.
very
Does he even know?
right?
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think of that.
I think he would know what he wants, right? I think a person knows what they want.
Okay. Understand.
It'll be the same thing. It'll be repetitious if he only knows one thing.
Right.
If he doesn't have go ahead, Dr. Williams.
Go ahead, Joe.
If he doesn't have as Dr. Williams said, this full spectrum of what intimacy is, what it means, what it can do for both people, and he's only going to what he traditionally goes to, then he's not aware. So if he's not aware, then he can't practice any of those things or rehearse, as Dr. Williams said earlier, because he has no idea only one spectrum of intimacy, and that is not the only intimacy.
Right. And so you can, again, under the beauty of education is you gain it, but now you have to understand it has limitations. It has bookends.
Mm-hmm.
You can only do what you know. So the question is, does this person know enough so that they can and often the library has 1 or 2 books. That's what my concern would be, is they're saying, I want this. Do you really understand all you could have? It's like a lot of us do that. We're talking earlier about food. We see the whole menu and it's like Brussels sprouts, and we're like, no. But do you ever have it? No. So you're saying no, and you've never tried it?
Nope.
And understand, there's Brussels sprouts that are steamed. I've seen them fried. So you're not willing to. Wow. They can only do what they know, but and maybe that's okay when it comes to Brussels sprouts, but I don't think you should do that with your relationship.
I don't think you should either.
But people can only do what they know, and the question is, do they stay knowing? Knowing is a journey; it's not a destination. And I think often what people are doing is say, "I'm at a destination and I'm not moving."
I'll just stay here. That's what's comfortable.
Yeah, because again, they're fearful. Yeah. Education requires humility. You cannot learn unless you're quiet. That's why the teacher says the class is not going to proceed until we're all quiet, because you cannot learn.
Right. It's too many distractions.
Right. Well, you're not able to perceive it.
Right.
So humility is very important. And again, especially in a relationship, it's very important that you're humble.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with someone that you say you love.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I think humility should be, used all across the board, whether it's relationships or whatever it be. So I don't feel no need for anybody to even think that, like they're entitled to or better than. You should have some form of humility.
Andre, you wrote that question just to us, so that you have to choose everyone. So I just repeated it for you.
Okay.
So we're asking the question of there's a couple of people that are online. Just wanted to ask them, Sasha, D. Jones, Armistice. if they have any questions, please put them in the chat and we can answer them. But again, I think that the point we're covering is communication is so very key. And just think, where do we ever have a class on communication, the art of communication, the art of language? That's not something we were taught.
Yeah.
And there's a science to that. It's not something we're all naturally given. We learn the hard way lots of times.
And it's very important in a relationship because if it's not, there's definitely going to be conflict.
Yeah, because again, going back to that show I saw, that guy, he shut down. Once his feelings were hurt, whatever happened, he was done.
That's it.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I had not a conflict, but I had a disagreement with someone the other day. And so they called me up and said, can we talk about it now? So I said, well, no, I really can't talk right now. I would rather wait until I can actually talk about it, when no one's around. So they said to me, well, I want to talk about it now. So I said, well, if you talk about it now, I'm not going to be able to kind of respond.
Mhm.
It would just be you talking. So I don't really think that's a fair thing to do. So they said, well, I'd rather talk about it now. So I said,
Wow.
okay, so talk about it. So
They bullied you.
yeah. So they expressed their views and I said, okay, that's great. I said, anything else? And they said, no, nothing else. I said, all right, well, so how's the weather today? I didn't get out yet, so I just went on like no big deal. So even though I heard the whole conversation, it just really fell on deaf ears because there's no way for me to respond. So then when I was able to see this person again, I said, do you want to pick up where we left off? Because I know you were actually only the one who got to express yourself. And they said, no, I'm fine now. So yeah, it's kind of amazing. So I said, well, I'd like that opportunity. So I kind of expressed my views on the subject. So I always you brought up the fact of not the fact of, but you said that should you go to bed angry? Should you always be able to express yourself? And I don't think you should. I don't think that not every conflict you should have on that particular day. So if you had a conflict early and it's time for bed, I don't know if you can resolve it right away. I think it's okay. I don't want to say to go to bed angry, but you know what? Let's just table it till tomorrow. Sometimes you just always can't get what you need to say out at that moment. Sometimes you just have to let things just simmer down and then bring it back up again. But I don't know what you guys' views on that is, but I think sometimes you should just let things just die down a little bit.
Yeah.
I could agree with that, Dre.
I would disagree. That I think it's
I could agree with that, but only
So mute his phone.
limits to it.
Mute-
It depends on who it is.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
It depends on who it is. Yeah.
But the closer the person is, would you agree it's more important? The closer
The person is, I agree, is more important, especially if you're in the same household.
Yeah.
And if you're in the same household, please let's clear this up because there's going to be tension in the house and everything. And I don't. That's not nothing I want to do. But on Andrea's aspect of it, certain conflicts with certain people, I need to die down.
Yeah, I would say even if I was in the same house with a person, I may not want to have the conversation right now. Let's just go to sleep. We'll wake up and maybe we'll have clearer heads and we won't be. A lot of times you're so passionate about a topic because it's happening right then and there. And then you realize after a day, you know what? Not a big deal. It wasn't as serious as I thought. But sometimes when you're in the trenches.
Have you ever practiced a same day resolution? Have you ever practiced that?
I have, and sometimes that's always not the best. It depends on the individual. It depends on the other person. Sometimes you have two passionate people, and you're not going to find a resolution at that moment. So sometimes you need to separate.
I also think the problem there, you've never laid the foundation that says, I understand we're two passionate people, and what can happen is we will let that passion divide us. But those are pre-conversations. You just know when you meet a person, you should talk about the sense that you have of what could steal the relationship from you. Those are, and we don't want to have those conversations at the beginning, but we need to say, I know you're strong, I'm strong, and if we're not, So here's one example, Andrea, and Cheryl. The other day, Andrea and I were having a conversation about an issue involving a family member. And Andrea has learned that there are certain things that once I get on a path, but I could see her trying to gently keep the conversation going and expressing her feelings, but also trying to make sure she wasn't poking the bear. And I really appreciated that. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Do as you did with me, do that with you. Again, you weren't avoiding the topic. You were saying, hey, we need to talk about this. This is serious. This has catastrophic consequences. But again, we just worked it through. And again, she said her point of view, I shared mine, and it's a conversation. But I think when we ended, we both said what we wanted to say for that day.
And you call me stupid, and you, well,
excuse me. Okay.
you said you're stupid, and then hold
on 1 second. We're gonna mute her. Okay, and then
why did you? Oh, you didn't want her to say that part?
Well, I was trying to give the cleaned up version of what happened.
And being that she said that you called her stupid, that you mute her.
Yeah. Well, you have to unmute yourself, Andrea. I ask you to unmute yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. That's how he ended the conversation. But I'm glad that you're aware that I was trying to do a gentle approach with you, and I know that about your personality, that you just gotta kind of just sneak in there every once in a while, and then sneak in there a little bit, and okay, and then he's good to go. But yes, so I think so would you agree that moving forward, if we have another passionate conversation, I should say, I know you're very passionate.
Right. Yeah.
I know this is a very strong.
Those disclaimers, I think, are really important to share them. I would encourage you to say, hey, this is how I feel. I think that's all good stuff.
I know you're very passionate, and so am I.
So, I know you're very passionate.
So am I.
And so am I. But I think that it's best that we table it. I like that.
No, I don't think we tabled it. I think we talked about it. I don't think it was.
I'm saying I would say that to a person. Like, I think we should, yeah. Like people that I know are passionate. Like this person is extremely passionate, and I'm extremely passionate. Sometimes is a nice way of saying like you can get nuts on a conversation. So it's a nice way. Sort of like saying, "Oh, you have a very active child." I love him so much, but being passionate, telling somebody like I need to talk about it now. Sometimes it's like, all right, I'm trying to take this nicely. I'm very passionate too, but I'm not going to be able to have a dialogue with somebody if I can't, if they're super passionate. So sometimes you just have to, I don't know. So I don't know if going to bed and having that conversation, you still may not resolve it. So now you're even more angrier laying down. Maybe sometime you do talk about it the next day.
But I think you, as you said, I think having those disclaimers, framing the conversation to say, hey, but I also wouldn't say like maybe we're not going to resolve it tonight. I wouldn't, give that permission to fail. I would just say, hey, there's something we need to talk about, because it's in the air, and we'll talk about it as best we can with the time and energy we have, and let's see where we are. But I just think we need to positize it and frame it and be hopeful about
But
things.
what you just said made me feel like when I was listening to you, it made me feel like, oh, I would definitely be comfortable to talk if that's the tone I'm getting to bring up the conversation. We want to see where we are. I see that's like, oh, that's calming to me. Right. That's calming. Even now, my passion may have went down a little bit because I feel a little calm now. Like, yeah, let me address this, maybe not with so much passion this time and, get to a solution. So that sounded very comfortable, Dr. Williams.
And that's the framing I'm talking about. And I think reality is often we just don't frame it well.
Mhm.
You know, that's why the outcome is what it is. All right, so as we get ready to wrap up for this evening, any closing thoughts you want to share? Either one of you want to go first?
Good show. That's it.
I agree with a lot of stuff
Mhm.
that you said, and that's usually not how I feel about anything you say. But tonight I will agree with you. I agree with everything you say, Cheryl.
I've been drinking lemonade.
Yes.
All right, so next week we're back again with Two Sisters and a Brother, Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So till then, everyone be well.
Let Andrea read the sign.
I can't. I couldn't find the
Oh, you couldn't
mic.
sign.
Tune in next Thursday for Two Sisters and a Brother. We will be here